Hello.
Hi, we're back after a month.
Yeah.
So, if you need a refresher, I'm Will, and with me is Jordan.
Yep.
And we just saw the latest Nintendo Direct of
Yeah, we're a
February
day late and a
13th.
dollar short, but you know.
Yeah, we are a bit short on the news, but we have some reasons. I was actually recording my live reaction, but two things came up that just blew it out of the water.
Yeah.
One of which, Jordan was sick at the time, so he couldn't join
hmm
me. And the second being, when I was trying to record, the stream was crashing. And by the time it came on already, the direct already started, so I just figured I wouldn't bother.
Yeah. But hey, we're here now, and I'm a little more rested, so at least we can talk about it.
Yeah, in retrospect, considering all the cool stuff that was shown, albeit a lot of people found some other things to not be really excited about in terms of what was shown, but,
Yeah.
different
I think
strokes.
there's plenty of opinions here.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, what I'm excited for is probably different than what you're excited for. So how
Oh,
about you
yeah.
start it off and tell me what I think your biggest game of the showing was.
Well, easily my biggest was Fire Emblem Three Houses.
All right.
The second that the announcement came up to show that the game was going to be heavily featured in the direct, I was pumped because we had not heard a damn thing since E3 last year.
Yeah.
And what we were shown interested me, but at the same time kind of weirded me out because this
Really?
is a format that the series had not really done before and is wildly different in terms of the structure compared to the other games.
hmm
Since it's doing the whole school setting thing, I just got taken aback.
Yeah,
And
it is definitely weird.
yeah,
Like it actually kind of confused me at one point
yeah, and with the
because
and obviously with the red, blue, and yellow color scheme thing for the factions, people were immediately making Pokemon Go jokes.
uh,
Others were making Harry Potter jokes because they're factions within a school setting.
yeah, it did give me that vibe. But the thing is, like, I had a misunderstanding at first that the house leaders. I didn't think they were students. I thought they were part of the teaching staff, like you.
No.
Like I thought like, oh, he's Prince, so he's second in line. This is just kind of a job he took on until he can become king. Same with the whole emperor thing. I was like, they're not students, and then they said they were students, and I was like, what?
Yeah, that's a bit
What?
odd.
Yeah. Also, their school's a monastery.
Their school is a monastery.
Yeah.
Separation of church and state. Where's that in line there?
Well, I mean, most countries didn't do that, so
Yeah,
I'm
that's
I'm
fair.
actually fine with that.
Yeah, but in any case, when the game was shown and the initial trailer talked about how you're in a mercenary band with your father, Geralt,
Yeah,
I
Gerald.
I immediately winced. I winced,
Yeah.
and every time I hear about that, I just can't help but wince
Yeah.
because it's so close. It's one letter off from Geralt, and it pisses me off. Not
Oh,
not as
before they since they said it right before your father comes on the screen, like led by your father Gerald, and then he shows up. For a second, I thought it was actually going to be Geralt. I was like,
it.
"Oh my god, they're doing a Witcher crossover."
Like, I get it. You know, I mean, there are completely different names and they don't look alike in any way, but every time I hear that name, it
Oh
just
yeah.
the image pops into my head. I don't know
hmm
why I feel so weird about it, but I just do. Maybe it's
Yeah.
because Witcher just got a mission put into Monster Hunter World, but
Yes,
it
I
feels
forgot
like
about
The
that.
Witcher's been everywhere lately.
Oh, dude, it's one of those games that actually hit like mainstream.
Oh yeah, easily.
Yeah, which is surprising considering the first two. Like that
Yeah.
third one, just out of nowhere, it's like this is mainstream now. What?
Yeah, exactly. But in any case, the trailer showing that you're going to be a teacher at this school and helping these nobles and everybody else learn how to rule a nation. I mean, it's
Mhm.
different.
It is.
A lot of the time, people complain that Nintendo doesn't really innovate a lot with their games in terms of story or mechanics. So this is
This is just out of
different.
right.
This is
Yeah.
definitely a shakeup.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call it an innovation, but it's definitely out of right field.
Yeah,
Like, I would
certainly.
not have expected that, especially after the last game on the 3DS, where there were two versions, and you picked which version depending on which kingdom you wanted to rule.
Yeah,
And that's
except
where now that I'm hearing there's three houses, like, I'm like, okay, by the end of the game, do I essentially just pick one faction and like lead an insurgency to take over the entire island? Because that's kind of what I'm hoping for.
it would be interesting, like to have to teach these students and then eventually have to take over the other factions, but it's a bit too early within the announcement to
Oh yeah.
properly say if that's going to be the case or not.
All I'm saying is I am praying for some backstabbery. This is Fire Emblem after all.
Well, yeah, war is hell, as the once mighty Jim Carrey would say.
Yep.
But when I look at Three Houses, I can't help but feel both optimistic and a bit worried because if you know anything about Fire Emblem, especially in the recent years, it's gotten a bit more pandering. And I know
Well,
that's
yeah.
not a nice word to use, but it kind of did,
Hey,
especially with Fates in mind.
let's just say there's a reason my friend Madison loves it.
Yeah. Is your
Like
friend Madison like super into husbando stuff?
that and cosplay, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like that's one of the people I go to cons with, and there's a reason she's now a super Fire Emblem nerd. I'm
Yeah,
like,
and
makes sense.
it's not like the older games didn't have those aspects. You could have
No, it
certain
did.
characters to get attached to, certain characters you'd want to cosplay,
Yeah,
but not to the extent that Awakening and Fates got.
not where you can actually lead your heroes into battle in nothing but their underwear.
Yeah, pretty much. But uh, it just makes it really worrying because when Fates was announced, the premise was intriguing
Yeah,
because you're raised from one kingdom but born into another, and you have to choose between the two. But then they decided to make a Awakening 2.0 and just didn't really do anything interesting with it.
yeah, and I enjoy Fire Emblem, but it's one of those games I don't have enough of a history with to really go in depth with.
Yeah,
So let's go on from here and just say it's an early announcement. We don't know a lot about what's going to happen with Fire Emblem, but there's definitely enough there for us to get excited.
yeah. Seasons of War edition
Mhm.
must. If the game gets good enough reviews, I'll see if I'll be able to get one of those, but I don't think it'll be possible.
Yeah. So, me, I know it's not on most of people's list, but I'm going to just put it in here that the game that really excites me and that keeps getting brought up at these directs has to be Daemon X Machina.
That looks awesome. And the
Yes.
demo is
And
out now.
exactly. I'm going to be downloading right after we talk.
Yeah,
And
it
that,
looks really
that's
fun.
that's the one I'm super 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 hyped for. Um my favorite Final Fantasy is 9. I'm glad that's the one they just launched.
Yeah, that I mean
Like
I
that
don't really
that's
have
the one
much
where I'm like, hooray.
yeah, I don't really have much of a history with Final Fantasy stuff, but I'm happy
But
that
if you want to play one, like that's the one to play anyway. And now it's here. So
I actually
but
have the remake of 4 on the DS.
yeah, that's actually not too bad. But I was not expecting to hear anything about Ninja Theory and Hellblade.
That's right, Hellblade.
Hellblade.
I did not like. Okay, just having Mortal Kombat 11 on there, I realized that
Yeah,
probably was announced in advance.
it
That was
was. It
unexpected
was.
enough, but Hellblade,
Yeah.
like,
But like, man, this is showing that Nintendo is definitely broadening their third party like allowances for
yeah,
this console.
it's crazy. And on top of that, Ninja Theory, if I recall correctly, is owned by Microsoft, right?
Yeah,
So
which
imagine
it
the
wasn't
amount of
announced
collabs.
here, but if you haven't heard about it, there is also the fact Xbox Live is coming to the Switch.
That's wait, what?
Yeah, it is announced. It is confirmed. Xbox Live, the online service, is coming to the Switch. Rather than Microsoft making their own like semi-portable console, they're focusing on their console division and they're bringing Xbox Live over to the Switch.
That is, huh? Well,
So we're
leave
probably going
Sony
to
out of
see a
another club.
lot more Microsoft titles and such heading over soon.
Yeah. God, what could be next? Halo?
I'd love that. Give me the Master Chief Collection for the Switch. That'd be amazing.
I mean, Lord knows that other companies are able to handle Nintendo's properties better than Nintendo themselves.
Yeah, sadly.
Cough Starlink.
Cough, cough, other M.
That's true. Well, eh.
Nah, I'm pushing it there. Just want to make a little quip. But no, I will admit Starlink is amazing. Hearing that there's an expansion on the way for more Star Fox, I am
Just
definitely
sell
blown
them the
away by
damn
that.
license.
Honestly, yes, I just picked up Star Fox Zero a week ago, and I have to admit, like that was a missed opportunity where just Nintendo wanting to be Nintendo and do something new in a way ruined it.
Yeah,
It is definitely one of those things where it's like Starlink does Star Fox better than the latest Star Fox, and that's just sad.
it is sad. Probably because
So,
Nintendo really focuses on other franchise over others. I mean, people still clamor
well,
for an F Zero game.
okay, here's the thing though. They actually have talked about F Zero in some recent interviews, and I kind of don't want them to make an F Zero, even though I'm a huge F Zero fan.
Really?
And the only reason is this: every time Miyazaki or anyone was getting on camera and they bring up F Zero, they just keep saying, well, we don't know what new things we could do with it, or we don't know how to improve upon what we did with GX, or
Exactly.
maybe if we had a new type of control peripheral. They actually brought up that we might do it if we had a new control peripheral. And that's worrying to me because if they do make it for the Switch, that tells me they want to make it all probably motion control. You got to tilt to control the car. And I've played Fast RMX. Let me tell you, tilt control at over 900 miles an hour is not a fun thing.
I just cringed
So,
from thinking about a racing game with motion controls.
yeah. So that's the thing. Like right now, Nintendo is held by the old flag bearers, essentially. And although, yes, I want a new F Zero, I want it so badly. I cannot lie. What I will say is I kind of don't want one while the people in charge are in charge because they're going to try and do something new that's not necessarily for the betterment of the series. They
Or
just want
try
to do
not
something new
to
because it's
change,
new.
or try not to change anything, or even
Yeah.
take things away. Like, think about the Paper Mario games. Thousand Year
Hmm.
Door is still considered one of the
The
better
best.
RPGs that
Yes.
Nintendo has put out,
Yeah.
and the only reason why the latest Paper Marios weren't really all that good is because Shigeru Miyamoto was like, I want more gameplay features and I don't want this story and world building stuff in there because, you know, a lot of people are
Yeah.
like, I don't want story interrupting my gameplay and so on and so forth.
And I get that, but you know what? RPGs are not the place to say that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
RPGs are kind of the thing where it's like gameplay comes second to story. We're doing it because it's role playing.
yeah, if he was
You
talking about
know?
a beat 'em up like Bayonetta, that would be
Okay. Yeah.
completely understandable. No one cares about the story in Bayonetta.
Not
Nobody.
really. No. Yeah. I mean,
But
it's a nice little add-on, but that's it. It's an add-on.
yeah, if you're
We're here
talking
to
about
brawl and have
RPGs,
fun.
though, RPGs both sell themselves on their story and kind of their gameplay. Because a lot
Yeah.
of gameplay for RPGs of that caliber can be really simplistic. I mean, take
Yeah.
Dragon Quest XI, for instance, which is also coming to Switch.
Yeah. That was a pretty cool announcement, and it's the definitive version.
Definitive. And it has an orchestrated soundtrack,
Yep.
which really.
Also,
I
you can
mean,
play the game in 16-bit if you want.
yeah, I mean, if you
But
want to
that,
do that.
that's a nice little touch. I'm like, I don't know why you'd want to jump back to the SNES days, but you can.
Yeah, or God forbid, go back to the MIDI music that's on the PS4 and PC versions.
I mean, I'll admit there are a few game soundtracks that were on console and had PC ports where I do prefer the MIDI. Like
Yeah.
MIDI can work, but it's few and far between.
It's few and far between, and if the composer actually cares enough to make sure it's good.
Yeah,
Sadly, the composer of Dragon Quest XI did not.
no.
But at least we're getting an orchestrated soundtrack for 11.
Yep.
And on top of that, I mean, as I said a couple other podcasts ago, Japanese voice acting, which is a
Yeah.
first.
It is interesting. It is interesting. Like I get it's a first for the series, but I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm in the West. I took Japanese in high school, but I still enjoy English voice acting.
that was
Like,
that was not a language option when I was in high school.
yeah, I actually took it while I was in high school. That was my second language.
Oh my god, if that was in my high school. Oh,
Yeah, I could do French, Japanese, Mandarin, or Spanish. I
I
dropped
did
out of
Latin.
Spanish. I did Latin in middle school, but that could have been because I was at a Christian university.
Oof.
Like we all had to learn Latin.
Yeah. Well, in any case, this fall, Dragon Quest XI on Switch. I recommend it easily because it is actually the definitive version. The
Yep.
PC version may be open to mods, but the Switch version literally has everything that the original had on PlayStation 4, but just more of it.
Yep.
So get it. If you like RPGs, get it.
Pretty much. Yeah. I'm actually kind of excited. That might be the first Dragon Quest game I play.
It's
Dragon
really
Quest
good.
Builders, it still looks too much like Minecraft to me.
Yeah, it just seems like a fun little side project. That's it.
Yeah, especially since now they added first person mode. I'm like, wow, you are really trying to be a Minecraft clone. Like, how many years after Minecraft came out?
God, it came back in like 2011, I think.
Yeah, I'm like, dang, now's the time you want to cash in on.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, I think you're a little late, but
Well, at least they aren't.
at least you're having fun.
At least they're not missing out on the battle royale craze with that Tetris 99 announcement.
Okay, never mind. I didn't know that's where you. But no, I love Tetris 99. That is another game I'm downloading today. That is an amazing concept.
Yeah,
Like
it's
for me,
like
that sounds awesome.
having it be based on skillful puzzle solving instead of just getting the weapons fast and hoping RNG has blessed you that day.
Hmm.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I will say, like, I wasn't too big a fan of the art direction they took with the PS4 Tetris that just came out, but I will say I freaking love Tetris, and one of my favorite Tetris games was on the Dreamcast, and it had local co-op, or I mean battle mode, where you had to battle someone next to you, and it looks almost the same as Tetris 99, and I'm like, holy god, that was like the most fun multiplayer I've ever had. So having that online against 99 other players sounds hectic, crazy, and a whole lot of fun.
And it's 100%
Percent
free.
free. Oh my god. Yeah, no, that's amazing. I don't know how they're going to make money off of it. Like, they have to at some point. I don't know if it's going to be DLC for like block skins or something, but it
What
just
block
sounds
skins?
great.
Turn every block into Tim Allen?
Huh?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just something really weird like that.
Who knows? Yeah, who knows? They might do something like that, but that's what I'm thinking is like they'll have to do like block skins or something because this sounds like an amazing concept. I know a lot of people will play it, but yeah, it's one of those things where it's like you got to make some money at the day. So it's interesting, like for me to think, how are they going to monetize this, and is it going to be player friendly?
Yeah,
Because you launched
hopefully.
it for free.
And let's see. So there was Tetris 99. I
Uh,
think another one that interested
s-
me and
okay.
interested you and interested everybody was Astral Chain.
I was about to bring that up because you brought up Bayonetta earlier. I love Platinum games. So, yeah, Astral Chain looks amazing.
It looks awesome. And on
Yes.
top of that, one of the head people working on it is the same one that worked on Near Automata.
Oh, now that I didn't know.
Now, he's not Yoko Taro, but he's one of the people that helped with that game and made it what it was. So having that will make it a huge help.
Yeah. No, I admit the gameplay for it looks really good. I like the fact that, if anything, the thing that impressed me most about this Nintendo Direct is that it seems like Nintendo is trying to lead the resurgence of local co op. Like,
Local
notice
multiplayer.
local multiplayer or co op, that's what I'm saying. Like, half the games announced have local multiplayer. The fact that this game has local multiplayer, Astral Chain, I'm like, oh my god, I'm going to force Amanda to play this. I will handcuff her to the couch. She is going to play this with me.
She might misconstrue that message.
I don't care. That can be dealt with later.
Let's see,
But we're
another game
going
that I
to
actually found.
play this in one sitting and beat it. Even
Yeah,
if that
beat it in
takes
one
four
sitting. That'll be
days.
fun.
Dude,
One other one that I
I
found.
do it. It's crazy. I love it.
Yeah, sorry if I talked over you for a second.
No, no, it's cool, man. I just like to say, yeah, no, there are like 7 games in the last year I bought that I decided to do in one sitting. And yeah, it sometimes took me over like 12 to 15 hours, but worth it.
Okay. Well, another game that I found interesting. Interesting to me at least. I don't think everybody else would have found it very fun looking. It was that game, I think, Oninaki.
Oh, yeah. It's not on the list I'm looking at of announcements, but I know the one you're talking about. And yes,
Yeah,
that one did look interesting.
yeah,
I
where you
don't know
travel to the realm
why.
of the dead and helped
Yeah.
destroy evil spirits and help the dead move on, and how the world apparently forbeys grief because of
Yeah.
its views on reincarnation. I just thought that was cool.
Yeah, no, that one does look really neat. I'm surprised GameSpot didn't put it on their list of the direct announcements.
Yeah, at least it's better than IGN.
What IGN do now?
Yeah, everything's better than IGN.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's the thing. Like, I'm trying to look at the full list of announcements. That way I don't mess up any of the names. But yeah, no, that Oni Naki or whichever it was, that did look really good. I admit that is one I want to get.
Let's see. Was there anything else? Mario Maker
Well,
2 got announced, but I wasn't
that
really.
is something I'm super hyped for. Because honestly, when I first bought the Switch, even though you convinced me, one of the reasons I was waiting to get the Switch is I wanted all those games from the Wii U ported over. The Wii U was a failed system. I never got it. And that's the thing I felt with the Switch was like, I want the big Wii U titles. I wanted Star Fox, I wanted Donkey Kong, I wanted Mario Maker, and all that on the Switch, so that there was a starting library of good games. Like as soon as I bought it,
Mm-hmm.
and honestly, missing Mario Maker was one of those things that was still kind of bothering me. So for me, even though I'm not a big Mario fan, I'm like, this needed to happen. And it looks like the little bits they've added make sense. Like, you can't do a lot with what's essentially just a level editor, like to improve upon it. So just adding some new little features, new little stuff, allowing you to make slopes. That looks like a lot of fun to me. And
Yeah,
I'm
just
like,
adding enough features into it that makes it its own
mm-hmm.
separate thing.
And that's where I'm like, okay, now I get why you didn't port Mario Maker. You were just adding some new things to it to make the second iteration. And that's excusable to me, at least. Like, should it have taken 2 years? No. But I'm glad you did it. It's about time because I did really want Mario Maker the Switch. Like, I don't think I'll play it much, but it is one of those games that I do support and have. Just because I have seen some crazy, crazy levels in the original. It's like, I want to try that. That looks kind of fun, actually.
Yeah, let the sociopaths have their time in the spotlight.
Yeah, that's exactly why I want to play it.
Let's see. What other things? There is
Let's
that Marvel
see.
Alliance game, but I don't think
That
either
looks
of us care enough
horrible.
about that.
Look, I've played the first two. I'll admit I'm actually a pretty big fan of Ultimate Alliance, and I love them on the 360. I kind of don't like what I'm seeing with the third one already. The change in art style for one is a lot smoother, a lot more cell shaded, and it doesn't necessarily give off a realistic or a comic-y vibe to me.
Kind of looks like
Two,
Marvel vs. Capcom Ultimate.
well, at least Marvel versus Capcom like 3, you know? that looked good. That was really stylized. But yeah, the latest one, yeah, I wasn't too impressed with that either. My thing with this third one too is it looks like it's trying to base everything for the most part off of the cinematic universe. Yeah, a few of the character skins I see are based off the comics, but the main appearance of them and how they're kind of designing the world seems off the cinematic universe. And I'm like, these games were based off the comics. They were for the comic fans. And you know they did that tie in with Captain Marvel just to cash cow in on the new movie. And I'm
Yeah,
like, that is not the point of these games.
it isn't.
I mean, I kind of wish they just left the series dead after 2 at that point, but I'm going to probably play it because Ultimate Alliance was a fun beat 'em up. And although there were points of the game that just slogged on, and even points I was boring, it had its moments. It was a fun idea, and it was one of the first Marvel games I ever played that actually got me into that side of comics, considering
Okay.
I grew up with DC. So, not something I'm super hyped for. I'm glad to see there's a new Marvel game, but yeah, I don't know how I feel about Ultimate
Yeah, that's
Alliance
pretty much
3.
my feelings on a majority of the direct stuff that wasn't the huge announcements.
Yeah.
Like Rune Factory 4, it just looks like a downrigged Stardew Valley.
Yeah, except, Rune Factory came out before Stardew Valley, so you could
Yeah,
say,
which makes it even more sad.
yeah, you could say now they're just trying to compete with Stardew Valley. And I think it does look better than Stardew Valley art direction wise, but yeah, it's one of those things where I'll wait till it's out to really say anything
I
about it.
just gave a weird look to my monitor. I'm sorry, art direction?
Yeah, like Stardew Valley, of course, is a. Of course, I'm going to have a problem with English today. Sprite game,
Yeah.
and you're limited a lot in what you can do with like verticality through sprites because you're working on a full two-dimensional plane.
Oh,
Stardew Valley looks good, but there's parts of the game where I feel could be improved by verticality that 3D allows.
okay, that
So
makes
that's where
sense.
I'm like, the art direction, the fact that it is in 3D, I think offers a few things that Stardew Valley won't be able to do. But it at least looks clean. It looks like everything's perfectly rendered and round. And I'm not seeing any jaggies in the video, so I'm like, we'll see. Like the art direction looks nice, and the fact that it is in 3 dimensions, I feel could add gameplay elements that are missing in my opinion from Stardew. But we'll see if they actually use 3D to their advantage or not.
Maybe we'll see, and we'll also see if Rune Factory 5 ends up helping out with that.
Yeah, I'm thinking it'll probably be 5 that does that because 4, as you know, is a port, and 5 would be the new game they're making since
What was
Stardew
4
Valley
on
came out.
originally?
PlayStation, I think.
PlayStation 1.
No, no,
What?
no. PlayStation 3 or 4, I think.
Okay, I was about to say PlayStation 1 is like, wow, you're really reaching far back, and Rune
No, no, no,
Factory's
no,
gone that far without another entry. It's like,
no, no, no. One
ugh.
second. Rune Factory 4. I'll just look it up. Never mind. But
Professionalism, folks.
professionalism.
You're watching Jordan look up something while I'm stammering over
Oh,
myself.
no, never mind. It was actually on the 3DS and was released in 2012. And here I thought it was on like PlayStation or something.
I bet if people I bet a Rune Factory fan would fume at you for mistaking that. And
Yeah,
if
and
those were PlayStation 3 era graphics, then man, that studio must have had not much to work with in that
well,
case.
it could have been like a B game, like someone made a small like passion project and put it on the PlayStation. People do that. You can't judge a game purely by graphics. But yeah, what I'm saying is Room Factory 4 came out in 2012, Stardew Valley came out in 2016, so I'm not expecting it to be like a powerful competitor to Stardew yet, but Room Factory 5, they're probably going to actually go after it.
Make it look
Like,
like East 8 or something.
oh my god, yes.
Let's see.
I love Ys. I do love Ys.
Any other games that caught your eye
Well, let me get back to my list,
before
but
we address the big one that was announced at the very end?
you know, I know the one you're talking about, and I actually got complaints. But of course, I know you're excited for Bloodstained.
Mm-hmm.
Bloodstained looks pretty great, I admit now,
You can
seeing it.
customize the main character. I did not expect that.
Yeah, I was not expecting that either.
You can make
Um,
her look like one of the green aliens that Captain Kirk would go after.
yeah, exactly. When I saw that, I was like, please don't. That just looks ugly.
Or
But
one of the what was the name of that blue alien race from Mass Effect?
we don't talk about that. But yeah, Assassin's Creed 3. I
Why
wonder why.
three?
Yeah,
You
I'm
could
like,
have done
why
four
3?
or two. You know, the good ones.
Yeah, like 3 was okay. I liked 3, but it's like, why? And you
But
also
that's the
said that
one
it's
they
going to have all the
chose.
original.
Why?
Like, here's my thing. You also said it's going to have all the original DLC, not included as DLC. It's like, wait, I have to buy the game and then buy the DLC again?
That's stupid.
Yeah, no.
Nobody's gonna go after that.
No, how about you just make Rayman 4 like you were supposed to and make the rabbits enemies? Come on, Ubisoft, just give me another good Rayman game
Or
that's
a
not
good Prince
2D.
of Persia game.
I like the one on the 360, but yeah, that one needs a sequel at the very least.
I mean, I'm speaking as a guy that's never played a Prince of Persia game before, so
Oh, I love Prince of Persia.
take my
Like,
word with a grain of
yeah,
salt.
yeah, I like more Prince of Persia. That's not movie tie-in yeah. But
No Jake
Yoshi's.
Gyllenhaal 3D models, thank you.
Oh God, please no. But Yoshi's coming out next month, and I'm super hyped to see that.
I am
That
not,
looks cool. Really?
because I've never really had any interest in Yoshi.
Yoshi.
It's no. I mean, I haven't. I mean, you're talking to a guy whose first Kirby game was Kirby Triple Deluxe. I have a preference on certain franchises.
Okay, okay. I mean, my first one was Nightmare in Dreamland, so who am I to talk?
Yeah,
But Yoshi, that's something I really love. Like, Yoshi games are fun, and they've always been colorful. And honestly, I think Yoshi platforms better than Mario anyway. So,
hmm,
Yoshi games. I
interesting.
will. I will say I will take a Yoshi game over a Mario game.
And
Uh,
let's see, there
let's
was also
see.
the 3.0, update for Smash Brothers for this spring,
Yeah,
but not
yeah,
much was said. Like
exactly. That's my
nothing.
thing. We
I
got
mean,
some
they
new
just said
amiibo coming.
you'll have to wait.
Yay! Yeah, yay! Why'd
Yay,
you
we
even make
got to
that
see
announcement?
Joker's in-game model for a few seconds.
Yeah, okay. Box Boy and Box Girl looks kind of cool.
I mean, yeah, I was I don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a simple little puzzle game, but I'm like, okay, at least we got something a little different. I mean, that definitely was different. And we got the updates to Captain Toad, and I'm like, Captain Toad, that actually is a game I've been thinking of getting. So maybe I will get it now, as there's new levels and stuff that weren't on the Wii U version. And I feel
I
like
probably
that's what it
won't.
needed from the start anyway. Okay, so I think that's everything except for the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So
Link's Awakening remake.
except there already was a remake.
What?
Yup. Before Nintendo got super happy on its cease and desist everything that a fan does, there was a full conversion done of Link's Awakening with updates using all the Game Boy Advance sprites. So it's already had a remake for years on PC.
Well, tough shit on them.
Yeah, and that's my thing. It's like Metroid 2, another Metroid 2 remake. You cease and desisted it because you announced a few months later, hey, we're remaking it for the 3DS. Now it's like, oh, this old game people like in the series? Well, fans already remade it. We're remaking it for the Switch.
Well, I
And
mean,
I'm like, you guys, you need to actually try and beat us to it, not keep coming after we do it.
that's true. Like,
Especially when we sometimes do it better.
yeah, I mean, if you want to see a video that does exemplify this, do you know the YouTuber named Funky?
hmm
Yeah, he made a video about modding that talked about how Nintendo's kind of a guardian about their IPs.
Oh yeah, and they're right to guard their IPs, but
It does seem a bit suspicious when
do
they're just,
something with them.
yeah. I mean, I mean, at least they're transparent about certain games. Like they told us Metroid Prime 4 is going to be remade from the ground up,
Thank God.
and they were honest about how Fire Emblem Three Houses was going to be taking a bit more time, so they decided on a July release date compared to its spring release, whenever
And
that would
I'm
have
fine with
been.
that. And
And
I
I'm
am
fine.
fine with that. You know what? If anything, more companies need to be like Nintendo. If you've got a product and you think, hey, we need more time to work on this, help your developers out and give them more time.
Yeah, exactly, and be a bit more transparent with your fans.
Yeah. Yeah, like I wouldn't mind if right now, like the outs, I love what I'm seeing from that. Said, hey guys, we know we've been releasing video, but we think we need a little bit more time to polish yada yada aspect out. Would y'all mind giving us a month? Because we're going to take it anyway, but at least we're letting you know why.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah,
But in
that's fine.
regards to the Link's Awakening remake, when I saw that intro cutscene, I
Oh
really
yeah,
liked that intro cutscene.
me too, me too. I do love that they actually did a fully animated intro.
And did you
And
see the box art of the game is actually that little scene of Link washing up on the shore?
yeah, it does look amazing, I will admit. Like, it is a good looking game.
Yeah. The
So
art
it is
direction
one of
is going to
those.
be a bit of a contingency point with
I don't know
various
about that.
fans.
Like, I'm checking one thing right now because of the period when the original was released, I think might have some contingency. And that's just original artwork. But yeah, even looking at the original Link's Awakening, this was one of the earlier blonde eras. He wasn't brown haired in this game like I thought at first.
Right. But I mean,
So
like,
yeah,
in terms of the art style of the world, everybody kind of look like they're made out of plastic.
and I'm fine with that. Like,
I'm fine with the two. I'm
yeah,
fine with the
like
two.
to me, the thing with the Nintendo now that I'm really appreciating is they're willing to try these different art directions. Like
Yeah.
Yoshi's Woolly World. No one would have ever expected that or expected it to work.
Or expected yarn amiibos.
Yeah, which I love. Or even
Speaking of which,
Epic Yarn Kirby. Like the fact that you were trying to make fabric in a game is already impressive. Like,
mm-hmm.
you know how hard it is to do realistic fabric. And honestly, I get kind of like a clay Play-Doh impersonation more with this Link's Awakening, and I think it's kind of cool because it allows you to keep the squat bodies you would have had on the GBA, but also just kind of fleshing it out a little more and
Helping
making
out
it
with the
round
lighting.
and yeah, and it's real pleasing to the eye. So I'm like, it's kind of neat. I like it.
Yeah, gives into that pick up and go nature that the Switch get actually has.
Yeah, I mean, I admit I'm more of a dock guy. I like playing the Switch on my monitor, but
Yeah, I do too, but that's because I never really go anywhere.
yeah, and my thing too is like I sometimes take me, but there's a lot of games on here where you don't want to just pick it up for 15 minutes. You'd rather sit down for an hour anyway.
Unless you're going with an RPG
Yeah,
like Persona 5, if that ever got on Switch, or
I would
Dragon
love
Quest
that.
11, or Dragon Quest 11 when that comes out.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. Especially since now we have Persona Q2 on the
Except that Persona
3DS.
Q2 isn't really being given that huge of a treatment compared to the
It's not.
previous Persona Q game.
That's true, but I mean, it's still getting a pretty big treatment for considering the fact it's on the 3DS, and we all know it's kind of dying.
Yeah,
Like
3DS is kind of
Nintendo,
slowing
Nintendo's
down.
supporting it. It's slowing down. I think it only got like a year, but that's the thing. Like it's slowing down, but man, it's dying with grace.
It is.
It's one of those things where it's like the 3DS has done better than anyone could have ever imagined,
Oh,
and
easily. Like, when
honestly,
did it first come out? Like in 2011?
I think so. Let me check.
And granted, it had like various changes in terms of its hardware and
Oh
what
yeah,
types there are, but it's survived for so long now and has had a lot of games. It's the system that helped revive Fire Emblem.
yeah. It came out in 2011.
Yeah. So
So yeah, this thing is over 8 years old now, probably
old enough to tie its shoes.
easily, and that's the thing. It's still hanging on. And the fact is, I still would say I prefer like a 3DS or a 2DS line Game Boy to the idea of a Switch Mini.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's still definitely a market for a portable that fits in your pocket.
Exactly. And granted, the Switch can't fit in your pocket. You just got to be a bit forceful.
That or, take the Joy-Cons off, because one of the issues with also the PS Vita is by having joysticks that stick up outside of the frame like that,
Mm-hmm.
the friction and holding it up in a fixed position for an amount of time, like putting it in your
Will
pocket, will
cause it to
just
mess up a
damage them.
bit.
Yup.
Unless you get those holster things that look like gun holsters, like what
Hmm.
Etika has.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You have to get a custom holster, and then you're adding extra girth to the system just to protect the joysticks because they stick out of the system.
It does look cool, though.
I mean, it does, but in my opinion, that still hurts the portability.
Yeah, that's true.
That's my thing. Like, at least, 3DS, I can literally slide that thing in the pocket. It's all scuffed up, beat up because I've had it for years, but you know what? I open it, both them screens pristine, and the joystick still works perfectly.
Mm-hmm. And then there's some of the other potential ideas for 3DS games that I wish could be put to fruition, like another Fire Emblem Echoes game.
Yeah,
Like, Shadows of Valentia apparently sold okay, and critically it did all right, but I don't know. The prospect of another Echoes game is probably not going to happen for another couple of years, maybe.
probably not. I'll give you that.
Yeah, and this was done partially because they wanted to show the older games to a Western audience that, with the exception of emulation, would not be able to know what Fire Emblem Gaiden was.
Hmm, good
And
point.
now they have this side series of remakes that can really open up what kind of games you can bring over, but they aren't really doing anything with it. Like, I was really hoping for another Echoes announcement, maybe a remake of Blazing Blade, the game that Hector and Ellawood and Lynn came from, or
Hmm.
Binding Blade, the game that Roy originated from.
Yeah, I'll give you that. But you know what I'd like to see at this point? Nintendo's been releasing a lot of collections, or like Capcom's been releasing a lot of collections are ending up on the Switch.
Hmm.
Just go ahead and, like, without even changing the graphics, I think, unless you just want to make it, say, display in widescreen without any warping, go ahead and just port all the original Fire Emblem games into a collection.
That would be a good idea, except it might drive new fans away in a lot of ways because
Hmm,
the
I
older
don't know.
games, like stuff from the NES and
Well, I'll
SNES
give you that.
and eras like that, could cause, a real disconnect for a lot of the newer fans that started with Awakening or Fates.
I don't think so, because they already know what the new formula is, but it's a way to step back in time and see where it came from.
That's true, but you
But
wouldn't
I
want
don't
to.
think it would drive them away. It just may be a game they don't want to play.
That's true.
And I think here's my thing. Nintendo's trying, and thank God they are. For the first time in their freaking lives, they are trying to do something with their older IPs. The NES, Nintendo Entertainment System, for the online subscribers on the Switch is proof of that.
Well, I'd rather have a virtual
It's
console, though,
oh, me too, me too. I,
because
I
there
think
are certain
NES is
games.
horribly planned out.
Yeah, I'd just rather have certain games become available instead of having to go through a revolving door of what games I can be allowed to have. Like,
Hmm.
for instance, I would much rather want something like a GameCube virtual console where people can finally play Fire Emblem Path of Radiance without having to fork around with 130 to $200 on eBay or Amazon.
Or just pirate it.
Or pirate it, which
Yeah.
Nintendo cracks down on a lot, but they don't end up giving
Yeah.
back those games that people want to play again.
Well, and here's my thing. They never ported anything from the WiiWare, Wii Virtual Console, so a lot of those exclusives, since they closed it, are now no longer
Yeah,
unless you pirate it.
yeah, and same deal for other companies, but to a lesser extent. I mean, as far as
Hmm.
I know, there's no way to play that Scott Pilgrim beat 'em up
Unless you pirate it.
unless you pirate it.
That's the sad thing.
That's the sad thing. That's the one thing that pirates can have a leg up on compared to us. It's like, oh, we want to officially support these developers, but there are certain games that these developers are either not wanting to acknowledge or not wanting to give us for
Hmm.
certain reasons.
Yeah, and sometimes I get why a developer doesn't want to, but the fact is, if the old service or method of carrying that product goes away, and there are fans, even if they're just a small minority, if you got the source code or at least an image file of it, because let's face it, piracy is just taking the image file and finding a way to make it run, you could port it.
Yeah.
And it would cost you um, almost nothing.
Yeah.
Like, you're not remaking assets or anything. You're literally just changing some of the code so that it works on a different piece of hardware.
Yeah.
I mean, I would go so far as to say, go ahead and don't even change the button, like, symbols on the screen. Just Scott Pilgrim was an Xbox game. Throw it on a PlayStation 4 or PS5 when it comes out. And, people can figure out that A means X and, B means square. I'm having to think of the controllers on the top of my head, but, they can figure that out. Just throw it out there so someone can play it and you can make another $5.
Yeah, exactly. Or if, in the case of what I was speaking about earlier with Path of Radiance, it's
Mm-hmm.
just, people can figure out with the GameCube controls compared to the Switch Joy-Cons. And same deal with Radiant Dawn if they ever package those games together.
Yeah. I mean, I get that the Switch couldn't port something like Mario Sunshine because Mario Sunshine actually used the analog feature of the shoulder buttons, and you could control how hard the flood would shoot based on how far or how soft you were touching the shoulder button.
Oh.
Now, the Switch, Joy-Cons or Pro Controller use digital buttons, meaning, a click's a click.
Hmm.
So certain games, especially from the GameCube, cannot be ported
That's true.
due to that. And that's
But Fire
sad.
Emblem can, though. That's the deal.
But
It's like,
Fire Emblem can.
it's a
That's what
tactical
I'm saying.
game that does not require the kind of sensitivity that you would give a GameCube controller in that
Hmm.
regard.
Exactly. So that's what I'm talking about. Like, there are definitely arguments for why Nintendo should be moving these things over at least every other generation. And I'm sorry, if you can't, in your heart of hearts, figure out how to make a new F-Zero game, even if it's literally just taking nothing away and adding nothing but maybe a few more tracks, maybe a racer or two, just port GX already. But instead of GX, give us AX, which was the arcade version,
Hmm.
because it was a great game, and the arcade version ran at a higher
Yeah.
graphics.
It's just
I think it also had two
the
more
one
racers.
argument that I would put forward is that if they did put out something like that, it would only satisfy those people that were clamoring for one, while the rest of the audience of Nintendo's big pool would probably be ambivalent to it at best.
I'll give you that, but here's the thing. At least it says, okay, we recognize we have this IP, we haven't done something with it in 15 years. Port of our latest and greatest game while we try to figure something out.
That's true.
A lot of people would be ambivalent, but I'd also be like, at least we got the arcade port.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd
Because
be cool.
even if you don't end up with a new game, at least you have one of the better games on new hardware that's more
Mhm.
readily available instead of having to hunt down copies from
Uh-huh.
secondhand stores or
Because
eBay or
let's
wherever.
face it, the argument for why people pirate anyway is that, oh yeah, I can't find the original, especially when they're like 15 years old.
Yeah, 15 years old, or you end up getting like a really scratched up copy.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. Or the fact that, people sometimes misplace their old consoles and can't find them, and then it's like, I really wanted to play that game. Oh, wait, I put it on my computer.
Or with lack of better judgment, they sell it.
Yeah. Or like
like
their judgment, they sell it.
like with my mom, like years back in Texas. Do you know about Player One Video Games, the store
Yes.
in Texas? Yeah. My mom once gave away our Nintendo 64 a couple months before Player One Video Games opened up its shop.
Nice.
Yeah, so we missed the boat on being able to get any money out of that.
Hmm. And that's what I'm saying. Like, people get rid of these old consoles for their own reasons. And then the guys who collect those, like me, have to try and pick them up at inflated prices half the time.
Yeah.
There's
And not
still a
just helping.
market for buying the originals, but I think a lot of hassle. Like, I own over 20 consoles. That's a lot of storage space I put to classic hardware.
Oof.
There's a reason why I have, for the games I already own, on my computer. Because I don't have the shelf space to put them all next to my monitor and have switch systems for every single one every time I want to play something. And I don't need to take 2 or 3 hours just to unplug everything and plug it into a new configuration.
Yeah, makes sense.
So,
And a lot of the time when people sell an old console to get a new one, they do with the idea that there will be some level of backwards compatibility. And granted, these newer
mhm.
consoles do have a level of that. I mean, the
Yeah,
Xbox One made that one of their big deals about how 360 and
yeah.
even original Xbox games will be
Later in its
playable
lifespan.
later in its lifespan.
Let's be honest here. At first, they were not worried about backwards.
Yeah. But the problem is they're now shooing backwards compatibility for some reason, and now classic consoles are being sold at inflated prices. Their classic games are
Oh,
being
yeah.
sold at inflated prices because the availability of those games is becoming rarer and rarer with less
Hmm.
production.
Not to mention, 20 years ago, people weren't thinking of the hardware and the issues that would arise with these games aging,
Yeah,
and the fact that a lot of games now are actually lost to the void. Like,
exactly.
the original developers don't even have the source code anymore.
Hmm.
So,
Like,
yeah.
say for instance, and there would be attempts on certain games to get remasters, like Silent Hill. But the
Oh,
problem
yeah.
with that one was that it just was not a very good HD port.
I don't know. I think, was it Shattered Memories that was the HD port of the original?
No, it was just
Oh,
the
you're talking
Silent Hill
about.
HD collection.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking the Wii
No, that's a
remake of the
remake
first
of
game.
Silent Hill 1.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, it was actually pretty good. But yeah, that was essentially an HD remake if you think about it, the first game. But it was a remake, not a port.
Yeah, I'm just talking about
Yeah.
the HD
No, the
collection that
HD
had,
collection was pretty bad.
yeah, that had 2, 3, and 4, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, in general, backwards compatibility is just something that a lot of people really want, but developers don't really want to do that for some reason or another.
Well, there's a lot of reasons. Part of it is to truly have something backwards compatible, you need to have your new hardware resemble the old hardware enough for the system to recognize the old program.
Hmm.
So you'd have to literally build a PS2 inside of a PS4. So when you make a PS5, now imagine trying to layer a PlayStation 1, a PlayStation 2, a PlayStation 3, and a PlayStation 4 all inside of your new console, plus add room for new hardware.
Oof.
Yeah, so that's usually out. Then you have essentially emulation, which doesn't work 100% of the time and has enough issues because you're trying to make new hardware act like it's old hardware through software screwing with things and allowing it to register old programs. And that's what they're now doing. But that's literally kind of how piracy works.
Hmm.
So here's the reason they don't want to do that. I release a PS5, it's completely backwards compatible with everything I have released in the past. You get a hacker who takes apart the PS5, pulls out the NAND memory or something, figures out how the emulator on the PS5 is running, makes it accessible, cracks it, puts it online, and now you have a perfect emulator made by the original hardware manufacturer floating around on the internet.
And then all the games are essentially free.
Yep.
That's the deal with the PSP. That's actually something that one of my friends did with the PSP. That's how he was able to play all of the libraries of the games that the PSP could play. He
Hmm.
managed to make the library completely available through that.
Yeah, and that's the reason the PS Vita used that proprietary memory chip. That is part of why it died.
Yeah.
And
On top of not having very many noteworthy games.
it has a lot of them, actually. I would actually support the PS Vita had a fighting chance against the 3DS if it actually got support.
Hmm.
Like, I would say in many ways, the PS Vita better than the 3DS. The only thing is, it has a few issues with actual hardware design. Again, the joysticks actually stick out of the console, which damages them over time. Two, screen's completely, open, but that's not a bad thing because they use really good scratch-resistant glass. And three, it uses the proprietary memory chip that costs so much freaking money and fills up so fast that, oh yeah, considering these things are on cartridges, why couldn't I just save to those?
Yeah, that really doesn't make sense in retrospect.
Yeah,
But
that's the thing. PS Vita, I say, had a fighting chance if they didn't make so many asinine decisions. And even though they did, it still had a chance if Sony actually supported it, went through with the fact that, oh yeah, this works as a.
well, I mean, it did work in Japan because in a lot of ways, the Vita is larger in Japan compared to the West.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, we still get games. Fact is, they didn't make the thing region locked, I believe, so you can just play those games anywhere.
Wait, the
Which,
what region lock do you keep cutting out?
oh, sorry, but yeah, if I remember right, the PS Vita wasn't region locked like the 3DS.
Hmm.
So you also have that advantage that, oh yeah, you can buy a game from anywhere and play.
Yeah, that was the big problem because like I remember there was a kid in high school who got a 3DS from England, so he could only buy his games physically from either England or digitally download them.
Yep, or you have to homebrew hack your 3DS and get rid of the region lock
Yeah,
and never update the thing again.
yeah. Backwards compatibility and region locking is really messy.
Which is why I'm glad this did away with.
Yeah, the Switch did away with it, and look at how it's doing now. It's getting so many good games put on it, and this level of third party support from all companies is just, it's really pleasing. It really
It
is.
really is. It is.
And on top of that, it's going to be getting a lot of people be invested in certain games. Like, as you said earlier, you'd be more interested in Dragon Quest XI now.
Yeah,
And I have I'm this is going to be a game I'm going to be triple dipping on because I have the PC version, I have the PS4 version, now I'm going to get the Switch version because the Switch version actually has reasons for me to get it.
exactly.
I mean, just having an orchestrated soundtrack would have been enough.
I find that sad, but I agree with you.
It's because the battle music is what you're going to be hearing for so many hours in the game, and if it
Hmm.
sucks, it's going to
Suck.
degrade your patience after a while.
Yep,
I mean,
exactly.
it's why composing really good music matters.
It
I mean, why
does.
do you think?
It's actually the most unappreciated part of any Hollywood film.
Yeah, or any anime for that matter.
That's true.
I mean, what?
Unless it's an idol girl anime.
Yeah, and then there's also the matter of like getting the proper composer for it. But composers can try different all kinds of music, but their body of work sometimes can't speak for itself.
It's true.
I mean, imagine if there was a game coming out that had Yoko Kanno as the composer.
Dude, I'd be in.
Like she's a name worth just having on your credits, like
Hmm.
just by virtue of her body of work.
Yeah, it's like, I know who that is. Heck, I might buy the game just to hear what she did.
Yeah, exactly. That's something I did not feel when I saw the trailer for Vinland Saga.
Mm.
I mean, I showed you the trailer and you were really
Yeah,
impressed with
and
what you
it was
saw.
actually really impressive. It's like, man, this looks amazing. I don't even know what Vinland Saga is, but watch this.
It's on Amazon Prime. It's going to be on Amazon Prime.
I'm okay with that. My favorite, like, romantic comedy anime is on Amazon Prime anyway. So,
Oh, you mean that Wodokoi one?
yeah, I freaking love
I
that.
loved it too.
Oh my god, it needs
I'm
more
actually reading
episodes.
the manga. It's really adorable.
Oh, it is.
Well, do you have anything else to say, Jordan?
I don't think so. We're honestly running out of time. So,
Yeah, we're
I think
we're
it's cool
running
we wrap
pretty
it
late.
here.
Well,
Yeah.
if any of you are interested in what was talked about in the direct, please say something in the comments below. Like, what game did you find fun? What are you most excited for? What
Hmm.
games do you want to eventually be available on Switch?
Exactly. If you think we're idiots, tell us.
Yeah, tell us if we're dumb. And not
Yep.
just for the fact that I'm stammering all the time.
All right. Well, I think that's it. See
Yeah.
you all later, you beautiful peoples.
Yeah. See you later.